could soon find out the fate of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine here in the U.S. The CDC Vaccine Advisory Committee will meet today for a second time to review the possible link between the vaccine and the very rare but dangerous blood clots that have been surfacing. Let's bring in Dr. Bob Lahita. He's the director of the Institute for Autoimmune Diseases at St. Joseph Health and a professor of medicine at New York Medical College. So Dr. Lahita, I want to get you in before the president speaks. So there are at least 10 known suspected cases of these blood clots connected to the J&J shot, with only two possible cases emerging since the pause, right? So what's your biggest takeaway from this?
My biggest takeaway is that it is still very, very rare. It's about one in, I think we were saying 1 in a million, or maybe even less. And 91% of Americans have heard of the pause and are very, very trustful of the FDA and what the FDA comes out with and says. So I would assure Americans not to be too concerned about getting this vaccine. It is very, very effective, and it is still a very safe bet. Anne-Marie.
Dr. Bob, if the pause is reversed, it's reported that the FDA is likely to attach a warning to the vaccine labels. Are you concerned about what that could mean when it comes to vaccine hesitancy?
Yes, well, you know, the skeptics out there, I've heard from everybody, they have clearly said, well, I was on the fence before, but now I'm definitely not getting the vaccine. And that is going to really impede our approach to herd immunity. As you know, the J&J vaccine is the one that is available as a one-shot deal, requiring less freezing temperatures, and is available in our rural communities where the rate of vaccination is exceedingly low. So it's very, very important that people have trust in this vaccine. And so that's my concern overall.
So we're still dealing with variants nationwide. One of the first that was discovered in the UK is now spreading in Michigan. I got to ask you, how concerned should we be, particularly for children? Those under 16 are not eligible for the vaccine.
We're very concerned about that. Unusual in that children generally do very, very well. The death rate is exceedingly low. I think it's less than 0.1%. But it is a concern because in Michigan, the UK strain seems to have taken over, and the children that are above the age of 16 that haven't been vaccinated are at significant risk. There have been 70 children in Michigan that have been tagged with the UK variant. The chance of dying again is very low. But the UK variant now in children accounts for about 14% of infections. And again, as I said, the death rate's very low. About between the age of 10 and 19, that age group in Michigan, there's been about 1,150 cases per day. Less than 10 to 400 cases per day of significance has been the case, and as far as the less than 10 years of age group, which is not available, this group not available to be vaccinated. So, what's happening is Pfizer and Moderna and I presume J&J going forward are very concerned and have clinical trials going on between the ages of 6 months and 12 years. We know that. I don't know where the data are or where that phase 3 trial in children is, but we need to up it and make it happen faster because we're very, very concerned about children, particularly with comorbidities, just like adults, kids with diabetes, kids who are obese, and there are many, children who are healthy, generally very, very active, do not have a significant risk of getting very, very sick or dying from this condition.
Very interesting, Dr. Bob. The other thing that I thought was really interesting is a study that was published this week that found two variants first identified in California are 20% more infectious and resistant to antibodies. Explain what that means both in terms of treatment and vaccine efficacy.
Well, it all has to do, Vlad, with the structure of the, I wish I had a model here, the structure of the spike protein changes. That's where the mutations happen. And as I've said repeatedly, viruses like to mutate. And this virus is no exception. It is particularly mutating in places like California, where the transmission is increased by 50%, the severity is increased, the death rate is increased, and basically antibody therapy, this is my big concern, antibody therapy, like monoclonal antibody therapy, usually has no effect with these variants. And then there is this, and I have a table, data that the CDC just provided, the West Coast strain, we're calling it. It's a combination of two different variants, 1427 and 1429, and it's particularly virulent in the West Coast, in California, in places like southern Arizona, for example.
I want to ask you about the CDC's information that 2 in 3 U.S. seniors are now fully vaccinated. I would hope that that number would have been higher. I imagine that some of those seniors that have not been vaccinated, there may be hesitancy. Maybe it's physically it's difficult for them to get to the places where the shots are being provided. Are you concerned that that some seniors may now not want to go to some of these vaccination sites because there's younger people in the crowd and they just may feel too vulnerable?
You may be right, Anne-Marie. I've actually never thought of that seniors are often intimidated. They're often very skeptical of scientific advance, especially vaccines that consist of messenger RNA, for example. So, yeah, I have to bend over backwards explaining to the elderly how important it is to be vaccinated. And I usually have to go through a big process of explaining how messenger RNA works in providing the spike protein and tell them that they're really not being infected. They're getting something that's fooling the immune system. The vaccine is basically very, very safe. But you're right, 20% of Americans still don't want to be vaccinated. And in the elderly population, it's over a third. So that's disconcerting, to say the least.
And as concerned cat owners, Anne-Marie and I are cat owners, scientists in Scotland have identified 2 cases where cats have developed the virus after their owners were diagnosed. We've never had it, as far as I know. I've never had it. My wife has never had it, but explain that to me. I mean, what are the risk factors of possibly infecting our pets?
Well, this is a great Friday discussion. I have to say that.
Look on Anne-Marie's face is classic.
Coronaviruses in cats,
I'll tell you why.
feline I'm not a veterinarian, but feline coronaviruses are fairly common. It is, at least the data that I've looked at, you can infect your cat if you have coronavirus, but the cat gets a sort of the human equivalent of a mild cold. The animal doesn't die. Now, dogs can be infected too. And the most amazing case was the Malaysian tiger at the Bronx Zoo here in the New York area that was infected. We don't know how. And the tiger was, of course, quarantined, so it didn't infect other tigers. But when you have a cat that's infected, and cats can be infected by their human caretakers, the cat will not die and the cat will not get very, very ill as a human would. I have not heard anything about transmission from cats and dogs to humans. So I think that's off the table. I really remember discussing this about 8 months ago in the midst of the summer pandemic in 2020, that pets did not transmit the virus, and I stick by that. I don't think there's any evidence. I talked to the veterinarians that I know, and we know from the Cornell Veterinary School, for example, they say clearly that cats can get a coronavirus variant like COVID-19, and cats will probably do very well. Be careful of their fur. If the cat has the coronavirus or you suspect it, don't touch them, pet them, hug them, wash your hands. Be very, very careful. That's what they're saying. And certainly don't have the cat or dog that's infected in the presence of children.
The reason that my face looked like that, Vlad, is because Monk has asthma, a pre-existing condition. That's my cat. And also, I discovered that there's a thing called cat huffing. People who like to smell cats, which I think would be a habit that could be dangerous in these times, considering the topic.
Well,
very short-lived, very short-lived. Their virus doesn't last very long. It's like humans, 3 to 4 days at most. But I don't want people to go around spraying their cats with Lysol and other disinfectants and making the cat sick from that.
Well, the other day, my wife posted on our cat's Instagram page a video of him sneezing, and I've seen dogs sneezing like ad nauseum, but I've never seen a cat sneeze, and I'm a new cat owner. Anne-Marie's a longtime cat owner. So I was like, whoa, there's new research out. Like, cat spreading Rona, and here's Henry, sneezing up the place. But now I feel much more comforted. Dr. Lahita, thank you very much.